Should I do mediation instead of hiring an attorney for divorce? Hi, I'm Bill Farias, founder of Farias Family Law. This is one of the most common questions that we get. And the reason it's so common is because people want to finalize their divorces cost effectively and efficiently. And mediation is enticing because you have both parties essentially paying for one person to do everything. And it makes sense in certain situations, and in other situations, it's risky. So you got to figure out where you fit into this spectrum. So mediation is essentially an individual, usually a family law attorney, educating the parties on how the divorce process works and providing information that guides the parties toward a resolution. Mediation works best, and by mediation I mean only having a mediator and not having any attorneys involved when your case is low risk in terms of what you have on the line. So to think about risk, you should picture a spectrum of risk. And on one end of the spectrum, you have a low risk case in which there are no children involved. There is very little disparity in the income between the parties, and there aren't a lot of assets to divide. That's a low risk case. A high risk case is a long-term marriage, children are involved, there's a custody dispute, there is a disparity, a significant disparity in income between the parties and potentially an alimony issue, and there are a lot of assets to divide, right? There's a lot of value in the assets. That is a higher risk case. So the reason that mediation and using only mediation in high risk cases is risky is because the mediator cannot advise you. And this is a very important concept, right? So most mediators are trying to do the right thing. They're trying to guide the parties toward an efficient resolution. But here's the thing. If you are closer to the high risk end of the spectrum and further away from the low risk, having no assets, no children, if you're further along the spectrum and the risk level is getting higher, you have to consider whether it's a good idea to proceed without having someone specifically advising you on what you should and shouldn't do and what you should and shouldn't agree to. And so the higher the risk in your circumstances, then the less sense it makes to go forward with only a mediator, because that mediator is not going to give you a heads up when something is off and should be changed. That mediator is not going to advise you to negotiate for a certain item that's consistent with your goals. That mediator is not going to draft or advise you to draft the divorce agreement in a way that protects your interests. And so mediation can be great, but it can also be very risky. And so in answering this question about whether you should proceed with only mediation and not hire an attorney, it depends on where you fall in the risk spectrum, right? The farther along the risk spectrum you are, children, potential custody issue, disparity in income, a lot of value in assets, the more sense it makes to get advice from an attorney before you start negotiating and before you agree to anything. If you have any other questions, you can call us 508-675-0464. You can email us at info@fariasfamilylaw.com. If you found this helpful, you can subscribe to our channel, share it with anyone you think might benefit from it, and you can also find us on social media at Farias Family Law. Thank you. Have a good day.